Hey, what's good, everyone? This is JTL, and I'm back with another one. And today I got a special guest here to tell her story, pick her brain a little bit, see what she feels on this whole quote unquote gender war with, our brothers and sisters that's been going on. So I want y'all to go ahead and welcome Chantel Simone. How you doing tonight, sister?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward for this conversation.
Well, I'm glad that you could show up because for it's been like a lot of sisters I tried to, reach out to so we can have this conversation because I see a few sisters that's I'm not gonna say that's trying to be in a manosphere or black manosphere space, but just kind of like telling their story. And I'm glad to see a lot of brothers that appreciate it just like I do, because I think we really need to start having more allies versus thinking that enemies is cool and so many men or women on either side are just being upset versus coming to the table and talking. So I'm definitely glad to have you here. Um, I wanna kind of start a little bit with, just a little bit of your origins, your starting, like, maybe you could tell us a little bit about where you were born and kind of your journey to get where you're at now.
Okay, so I was born in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica, and I lived in Jamaica up until I was 5, and then I moved to the States. Then I moved back to Jamaica and lived there up until I was 15 and moved to Florida until now. I'm currently 30. So for 15 years, I've been living in America. Um, Yeah, basically, I went to school, got my education because that's what I was told to do. I'm what, I went up to the master's level because I thought that was the cool thing to do if I wanted to get a husband, and realized that it wasn't working out. Like I clearly wasn't going on the right path because I found myself at 30 and not married. So then that's when I started like doing my research and then finding out that a lot of us black women were lied to and misled.
Mm. So I saw a few of your videos, and I kind of want to have you touch on that if you don't mind. So I seen when you was the one video where you was talking about, being 30 and the results you were getting because of the wrong information you got. So I kind of want to ask you a question about a couple of the guys you spoke on. So you spoke on them having feminine energy. And I kind of want to get you to kind of, explain that a little bit more as far as when you say feminine energy, why do you think now that it was feminine energy in these guys that may have made the wrong choice because of what you were taught? Like, why did you say it was feminine energy?
Well, so when I say they were feminine men, I mean they were very like passive. They weren't the kind of men that I could relax or like drop my shoulders around. If something was to happen, I couldn't depend on them to step in. Or I felt as though I couldn't depend on them to step in. And then a lot of I at that time I was strong in my masculine energy. Like, I have my own, I'm independent, typical narrative that you hear with these educated women. And I mean, I would say they were feminine energy because they put up with it without checking me, for lack of better words, or without, quote unquote, putting me in my place, showing me like, listen, I'm being assertive and setting the standards and not break. A lot of the men that I would encounter would just allow me to do me and have my way. And then again, I felt as though I was the one wearing the pants in the relationship. I was the one that whatever I say goes, and they would go along with it because they didn't want to have any kind of argument or anything.
Okay, so let me ask you this question because I've had this conversation with guys before, and it's like we always wonder, how come it's like a lose-lose situation with women, right? It's like, okay, so you mean to tell me that our mothers and other women would tell us, be sweet, treat her like a queen and everything, and then we get older, we do it, and then a lot of times it doesn't always work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you would be, how do you like, do you still perceive it as that? Do you think like, okay, I should have been a little more chill versus, being like combative, you know what I mean? Like versus like being like, well, this guy's actually nice,
Mhm.
and he's treating me right. So why should I be upset with that? Like, do you look at it that way now, or do you still feel like they should have put you in your place? And would you still
Um,
want anyone to check you?
I would say, so your mom and the woman in your life would advise you to be nice, open the door and buy her flowers, but they wouldn't advise you to do it for a specific woman. They would just say treat all women nicely,
Right.
regardless of how she's treating you. And I think that's where the downfall, and I don't like calling the name simp, but that's how simps are created. No matter how the woman is treating the guy, he's still expected to respect her, open doors, and buy her flowers. In looking back, of course, I'm not going to just blame my exes that they were all feminine. Of course, I played a part. And maybe if I had stepped back and just be quiet or just allow them to lead, then they wouldn't have come off as feminine as I call them. But I was so strong in my masculinity. So I take the blame for all my relationships. Just in that time, I was the masculine energy one, and they were the feminine energy one. So not necessarily calling them right now that I'm sorry, that they're feminine, but in that relationship dynamic, I was the masculine one, they were the feminine one.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. Because when we had this conversation, like, a lot of guys, when we get a certain age, we end up going through that red pill moment. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's like, dang, I did everything I was supposed to do. That's what I was taught. And you mean to tell me I still got walked
But
all over, ran up the flagpole. I'm sorry, go ahead.
but you guys have to also acknowledge that in that moment you were moving in your feminine energy. In that moment when you were doing everything that you were taught, they were teaching you how to be passive, how to not debate with a woman and not argue and not be assertive. So you were moving in your feminine energy. I think
And
the,
see,
the red pill awareness made a lot of guys more assertive and more
mhm,
masculine.
yeah. And I think also the other thing that hurts is because we've also always been taught happy wife,
Oh
happy life.
gosh, I hate that
You know what I
so
mean?
much.
So you got so many guys that, like, for
Mhm,
years I would hear that, and I would look at things from a woman's perspective versus a man's perspective. And it's like the old feminist movement way back when was, just allow us to make a choice. Don't try to run everything
mhm,
around us. Let us, if we want to help to give to the situation, we want to work and help our husband a little bit more, just at least give us the choice, especially to vote. And I kind of understood that. I mean, it was reasons why, you had to be careful about certain things, but it was like, just being more responsible. If I'm going to have this woman in my life, I'm going to be responsible for her. And
mhm.
a lot of women nowadays, they look at it wrong. So I think I would say it depends. Like, if nowadays you still choose to be beta, you be simp. I think more so nowadays is feminine energy. I think back then, with my situation as a man, your situation as a woman, it was more of moving in our ignorance that was taught to us and trained to us. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, back then, I can't really say guys were so feminine because, like, look how guys would work 6 days a week, all these hours, and make sure they brought the bread home. So that's strong. But I think they just started pushing it too far. You know what I mean? Like, the feminists nowadays want to push it too far and be on some, well, let a woman do this, let her have a 3 or 4 phase, and that should be all right. And I think that's where they set both sides for failure, where they made women more masculine and more men like emasculated. You know what I mean?